Welcome back to the GSMC College Football Podcast on this Monday, April 21st. Just talked a little bit about Utah and the Utes this upcoming season. Gonna switch gears, talk a little bit about some of the top options to replace Nico Iamaleava at Tennessee. They do have two options, kind of still in the class. Jake Merklinger, George McIntyre, both still available as the starter, as potential options for Tennessee in-house replacements, but I think they're probably going to look to add somebody in the portal. One of the names that I'm looking at that I think could honestly make a lot of sense is actually the guy that's now leaving UCLA because of Nico Iamaleava, is Joey Aguilar. So Joey Aguilar last season played for Appalachian State, had a really strong year. In 2 seasons as a starter there, he started 24 games. In those 24 games, threw for 6,700 passing yards, 56 touchdowns, 24 interceptions. Also ran for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. So proven production at that level, playing in the Sun Belt for Appalachian State. And transferred to UCLA in December, was expected to kind of take over as their starter up until this news broke that Nico is in fact going to UCLA. Was kind of reportedly thinking about staying, but ultimately has entered the portal. He's the most experienced starter in the portal right now, most productive passer available. This is going to be the guy that, if you're looking at numbers, his are going to do the best. And he only has 1 year left, but honestly, Tennessee only really needs 1 year of a starting quarterback, especially with Faison Brandon coming in next season. Number 1 to number 3 quarterback in the country. Kind of depends on who's ranking him in that 26 class, but they really only need a guy for a year. Joey Aguilar could make a lot of sense. Another guy I think could make sense, got 2 years of eligibility left, is former Notre Dame quarterback Steve Angeli. So Steve Angeli only has 1 career start, but he's appeared in 21 games over the past 3 seasons. Obviously, most of that was kind of when Notre Dame already had the result locked up, but this was a guy that was primary backup to Sam Hartman, to Riley Leonard, but he was pressed into action in the college football playoff, in the semifinal against Penn State, in the one series where he did play against Penn State. He really had a decent series. Shook off a sack where he kind of fumbled the ball, but he drove Notre Dame into the red zone in the final 2 minutes, went 6-7 for 44 yards passing, and then Notre Dame did have a field goal, but this is kind of what you'd expect. His lone start was against Oregon State in 2023 in the Sun Bowl. Kind of showed a lot of the same. 15-19, 232 yards, 3 touchdowns. But he's not going to wow anyone. But this is a guy that's realistically probably good enough to be a starter at a Power 4 school and still has 2 years left. Probably wouldn't be super expensive for Tennessee to get. I think it makes a lot of sense as a potential landing spot for both Angeli and Tennessee. This could be a short-term marriage that works out for both of those, both Tennessee and Steve Angeli, respectively. Mike Wright, he's another option. I don't love Mike Wright as an option for Tennessee, but he's still there. This is going to be Mike Wright's 4th school now. Pretty well-traveled guy. Spent a couple years at Vanderbilt, then transferred to Mississippi State when they already had Will Rogers in 2023. That was a really interesting move. Then ended up joining Northwestern last season. Won the starting job in training camp, but was benched after he really struggled in their Week 2 loss to Duke. Has appeared in 42 games in his 5-year career, but he's never started more than 6 in a season, never attempted more than 175 passes in a season, so hasn't played consistently. Could be a guy that they look at. I kind of doubt it. I think he's only a 55% passer for his career. does have some kind of running ability, just in terms of he's got 1,300 career rushing yards, so makes sense. But I don't really see that one as a true landing spot. Dylan Brisk, I think, is a guy that could make sense for Tennessee. UCF quarterback, and he's younger than most of these other guys that are in the portal. Still has 3 years remaining. Little less experience, but did start the last 4 games of the season for UCF this past year. Best game came on November 2nd when they blew out Arizona. He threw for 294 yards, had 3 touchdowns, also ran for 55 yards. Mostly kind of getting in group of 5 attention right now, but if they want more of a guy that's going to be in that room for a couple years, I think Dylan Brisk could make a lot of sense for Tennessee. Another guy that personally I just think it'd be really funny if this happened would be Jaden Rashada. Jaden Rashada, obviously, I've kind of talked about him a little bit, but had the whole saga with Florida where he's suing them because of an NIL deal. Got out of that, went to Arizona State, started a few games at Arizona State before transferring to Georgia last season. Didn't really play for Georgia, was kind of sidelined for most of the season, but was buried on that depth chart. Could this be a guy where Tennessee maybe looks at him? I kind of doubt it. I think it'd be a really interesting option, though, just from the whole saga of, you got rid of Nico because of NIL deals, and Jaden Rashada also has his kind of own NIL saga, question mark, I guess. But still a talented quarterback, still a former 5-star quarterback. Would be kind of an interesting landing spot, though, for Jaden Rashada. But I'm really curious as to what Tennessee's going to do at quarterback. I think they don't really have a ton of options. Joey Aguilar, I think, makes a lot of sense for them if they're looking at a guy that's experienced that they only want for a year. That's, I think, makes the most sense. It'd be kind of funny if he then went to Tennessee after Nico went to UCLA, almost like a little trade. But you never know. This is going to be a storyline, though, to follow, to watch, is just what's Tennessee going to do at that quarterback position. What's going to happen? How are they going to replace Nico? That's going to be a big thing to look out for here in Knoxville, and just over the next week or so. What's going to happen? I'm not really sure. But it'll be fun to find out and watch, though. So, with that being said, we are going to end our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC College Football Podcast presented by the GSMC Network. Please remember to subscribe to the show. And if you want more sports content, more updates, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, for even more of the sport content that you love, that we love giving you. So, thank you so much, and have a great day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to